Welcome back to Studioloo. I'm Cindy, and today I bring you the last of the series of journals about the life of gnomes. So I'm hanging out with this little guy today. It's a little squirrel. He's super cute. So this is the last of the journals, and this one I actually made using this applique that I did in one of my videos. If you check out my A to Z series, this is letter A. A is for applique. So I actually appliqued and embroidered all this felt onto this sort of suede material and used it on front and back of the journal. The rest of this fabric on the front and back of the journal is something that I batiqued a long time ago. So it's been all sewn around. It's a nice firm journal, and the front is actually a pocket. And so inside there's a journal card with this little gnome, and that just tucks right on in there. And then at the bottom we have this little toadstool charm. So if you haven't seen the first Gnome series video, the Gnome Tome, I recommend you read it, watch it. Don't read it, because I talk about where I got the books to make these journals. So I came across some lovely vintage gnome books that weren't in wonderful condition, so I have repurposed them into a journal series. So when we open up this journal, there is a pocket here that's been collaged with some handmade paper with real leaves embedded in it. And there's a little gnome here, and he's carrying a toadstool, and he's got a little tiny pig on a leash. And then you pull out what's inside, and you can see behind that the inside has been covered with my large format cabbage dyed encyclopedia pages. So it has a really lovely textile feel to it. And then inside is a large journal card that's been collaged and a journaling tag with lots of botanicals. This one's been stamped with bees, and that one's been inked. And they both just hang out right in here. And we start off with some brown graph paper, and then some of my botanical eco-printed paper with a lovely flower there, and then just some interesting paper and a botanical. This is cabbage dyed watercolor paper. This is a book page with a tree, and this page has some feathers on it, and this is one of the original gnomes from the vintage book. And then this has some leaf paper on it, a little gnome there, coffee dyed paper, and some nice green scrapbook paper. And this is a bird tea card, and then an old vintage bingo card that I've affixed a gnome on the front, and it's on map paper. And then there's a journal tag inside with this little gnome girl on a scale, and it has a sparrow on the back. It just tucks in there. And on this side we have an envelope pocket. So this has this cute beaver on it. It's from a vintage wildlife book. And in the back there's this journal card of sort of a blustery scene with two little gnomes under an umbrella. And on back is a leaf. Kind of matches up with that leaf. So that tucks in there, and then you open the envelope, and inside the envelope we have another journal card with this beautiful fairy. And this is a picture from the original gnome book that talks about other magical friends of gnomes. And on the other side we have some avocado dyed paper. And then this scene is a pocket with a gnome and a deer running out of a forest fire. And inside is this journal tag, and on the back there's some stamping and a little bit of collage and stuff. And then on front it's all collaged. This is actually maple, spalted maple. And this is a little image from a 1980s ceramic mold order magazine that ceramic artists used to order their molds from so they could make these ceramic gnomes. And then in the back of the pocket there's kind of a related poem called Armies in the Fire. And then On this side we have a poem called The Little Land. And on this side is some cabbage dyed large format encyclopedia paper. And then this is a recipe for a chilled asparagus with dill mustard sauce. And I just love these illustrations. This cookbook has incredible illustrations. It's a vegetarian cookbook and it's really lovely. So the whole recipe for that and marinated pasta salad is in this book. This is avocado dyed paper. And then just some fun coloring book page of vegetables. And some botanicals, and then this lovely ladybird. This is a children's book page. And on this side, just these leaves and a little gnome there. And this is a gnome on a bird's back. And a little gnome down here. And then on this page, we have a pocket, and it's sort of a blustery scene with a gnome. And then this is a little journal tag with a wooden carving of a gnome's face. More of that recipe page. And then a pocket with a little gnome inside his home. And on the tag it says, "Little birdie told me," and it's a gnome walking with a shovel. And this is an embroidered flower on top. And then this is cabbage dyed encyclopedia paper, and it folds out for like a large amount of journaling space. And then here we have an upper tuck of a wintry scene with a gnome and some leaves here. And then just this journal card. It's got this itty bitsy gnome up here. And then on this side we have a vintage illustration of some birds. And this is avocado dyed paper. And then a pocket with a little gnome and a bird. And that is on some matte paper. And this is a journal card with a little girl with little mushrooms dancing around her. Sorry if you can hear my dog barking. I don't know what's going on downstairs. And this is a little corner tuck. Oops, just gotta pop that out of there. Every now and then you get a little bit of, there we go, a little bit of stubborn glue. So this is a little corner tuck. And this book talked a lot about plant medicine and how gnomes used different plants. So this is about the century plant. And it's apparently good for preventing the hardening of arteries. And inside is this journal card. So on front, this is also original art from the gnome book. And it has a cow. And on the back is a little gnome with some bunnies having a picnic. And then a little tea card of a bird. Coffee dyed paper. And then here we have a little envelope that's been coffee dyed. There's a gnome and a squirrel in a tree. And then you open it up. And inside is sort of a alphabetically labeled image from the gnome book of a gnome family in their kitchen. And I just love their stove and all the floral like painting on it, like a little like, it almost looks like this Swedish kind of stuff that you see in like different stores, not just Swedish, like lots of different like Norway, like lots of countries have this beautiful, it almost looks like painted embroidery that's sort of thematic to their culture. It's really beautiful. And then this is some gnome, a gnome feeding some animals. And a pocket here of a gnome in the woods with a big basket on his back. And some leaf paper in behind. This is a tag with a butterfly collaged. And a book page, cabbage dyed paper. These are a couple of little wasps' nests. Botanical eco-printed paper. And now we've reached the end of the journal, and we have a pocket with a gnome on a bird's back and some florals and more of that encyclopedia paper. This has such a nice feel. This journal, the cover is amazing. It feels so great. And then this is a card, a journal card with a gnome doing some construction while a bird looks on. Looks like he's maybe repairing a birdhouse. And there's some birds on the back of that one. And then this is a tall journal tag with fabric crazy quilting of an acorn, a squirrel, and a bird. And on the back is avocado dyed paper with some little pine cones stamped on the bottom. So those just both tuck on in there. And that's the end of the journal, these little embroidered appliques that I did. And so that is the end. So if you have watched this whole 12 video Life of Gnomes journal series, I thank you very much for tuning in, and I hope you like the series. The last two, which are these two, will be heading into my shop today. And that will be it for gnomes for a little while. So thanks for tuning in. Please check the description box for all of my social media information, and have a wonderful day. Please subscribe, leave me a comment, ring the little bell to be notified when I make new videos. I would love to hear from you. Thank you.